Simon, you've been atop the speed charts for most of yesterday and also today. Did you have a feeling that you had a pretty good shot at pole heading into this afternoon's qualifying session?
Yeah, I feel like the DXC car was been competitive all weekend, so I felt very comfortable. It really is the first weekend of the year that I've been able to do exactly what I want with the car, and you know, it's a lot of fun when that happens. and also, just like Graham was saying, it feels so rewarding when you feel like you extract the best out of yourself and feel one with the car. So it was definitely some really fast laps there in the fast six, and I really put everything down on the line. So very satisfying. But my race car's been and is phenomenal this weekend. So I hope we can transform that into a win tomorrow. It would be perfect timing in a championship.
You've seen your teammates Elio and Will go back and forth on several different pole wins throughout the season. Does it matter to you to finally get a pole in 2017 and join that rank, or are you more focused on race results?
For me, it's more race results. That's really what pays. But every race car driver has an ego, and I think qualifying is all about ego. It's we all want to be the fastest man. So, like I said, I think from the moment we start in go-kart, when you manage to do that special lap, is the best feeling in the world. And I think that's what we all hear is. To us, it's the graal when you get to do the pole and put that perfect lap together. So it's that's what we seek for. That's what I seek for every morning when I wake up. And when it happens, when I manage to put it all together on a given time, it's very enjoyable. It's the best reward in the world.
The Verizon IndyCar Series races on many types of tracks, on ovals, especially on longer ovals like the Indy 500. Maybe qualifying isn't as important, but when you get to a street course here, like Toronto, do you feel like in terms of the other street courses we visit throughout the season, how important is it to qualify well here in Toronto specifically?
Yeah, to me, it's the most important place to qualify well. So that's why this pole position is very important into the race results. It's going to count toward it, but if everything happens normally, that's the problem here. It's like I said earlier in press conference, Toronto always has a twist for you on the strategy. So, but it's always better to be up front for sure. So that's mission accomplished on the pole position. But we have one more thing to do, which is the race. And the whole weekend is tackling practice 1 a certain way to be well set up for practice 2, and practice 3 is all about qualifying. So when you check everything that you want to check to that point, that's satisfying.
We'll open up for questions, starting with Ryan.
Simon, I know you just mentioned that it's about the race results at the end of the day, but judging by your entrance here, there's got to be a certain level of excitement winning pole here in Toronto.
Well, yeah, there's big excitement. I love this city. I've been racing here since 2006. And this is really a fun track to me. I've just never had the success that I thought I could get for unknown reasons. So again, being able to put a perfect lap together in Toronto is very unusual because it's a very tough track. So I feel very satisfied that way. But there's a huge competition within the team. Obviously, Elio has been on a tear this year, and I needed some poles to catch up on that competition. So. Last year I was the one that won that competition, but it's a fun. We're just having fun with that, so that's why the entrance was a bit flamboyant.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the term perfect lap, though, and in multiple perfect laps, when you think about it, you beat Will and then you beat that time again. How do you get that consistency on Sunday and the variance of weather and temperature and all that jazz?
I think it's a different story. I think I've done my job up to qualifying, into qualifying. Now we've got to forget about pace over one lap, right? We've been thinking one lap pace. I've got to extract the best out of the tires, the car. I've got to be as close as possible to the wall. I tell you, I took all the risks necessary in turn 11, for example, to get a little tenth here and there. If I do that in the race, I won't finish the race. So it's a different approach. I've got to set up my car a little differently for the race, maybe a little less aggressive with the rear end of the car, to actually keep my tires underneath me and be strong over a whole stint. And like you said, we don't know what the forecast is going to be. That's the one thing you can't control. So we're all going to have to adapt to that, but it's the same for everybody.
Other questions for Simon? Yes, Mary.
Simon, last year at Detroit, if I remember correctly, you started the race and went over 20 laps on red tires. And I think you were the only driver to successfully do a full fuel stint and make those tires last, and I don't think your speed really dropped off. So this year here at Toronto, the track is different as a street course. It's a lot slicker, I guess, in places. But Firestone said that they brought a tire that had a lot more grip. So how do you feel about the red tires? What, in terms of longevity and all that?
Yeah, it's tough for me to answer. I had some issues yesterday in practice too, so I didn't manage to do a long stint on the red tires. So I don't know the degradation. I know because of my driving style, I feel like my front tires are going to go way quicker than the rear. And I'm going to do everything tonight that I can to make sure that we can keep our tires underneath us. But we also need a fast car on the black tires. So, it's maybe more a case of limiting the number of laps on reds and switching to blacks afterwards. I think the blacks are going to be faster on the long run. But if the conditions are difficult, you're going to want to use the reds, just because if it's spotting in places, you're going to be more comfortable on reds. So there's a lot that goes into it in the trailer that not many people get to see, but there's going to be a lot of conversation tonight to try to see what we can do and make sure that the car is going to be consistent.
Any final questions for Simon? Yes.
This is a race that tends to, in the past, it's had a lot of cautions. How does that affect the way you guys plan for a race, especially seeing as we could get some weather tomorrow that could throw even more cautions in the wind?
Yeah, it's tough. That's a constant discussion. The problem is statistically, there's that yellow comes out at the end of the first stint right at the wrong spot. So what do? You try to pit before that statistical lap that seems to be around 14 or 13. But the problem is if it doesn't go yellow, then you really shoot yourself in the foot. So you kind of have to react to the situation on track, and that's Kyle Moyer and Ben Bretzman, my strategist, Kyle, to decide with me in the discussion during the race on to what to do. And also, they're always looking at the competition, where they're at on track and what are they doing. We're obviously looking at Dixon very closely, and that's the main competition for us. And so that's what we're going to be looking at. But tomorrow we need to go out there and win the race. That's the bottom line.
Bruce.
What does it say about this event that the only two tracks that have been held on the schedule longer are the Indianapolis 500 and the Long Beach Grand Prix?
Well, I think it's definitely a classic here. You talk about Toronto. Everybody knows the Indy Toronto. It's it's a beautiful event. The crowd was amazing on Friday. It's still amazing today. I think it's obviously the sport's growing back. So I think it's phenomenal to see that. The track is improving every year. But when you look at the pictures, you still see the exact same background as it used to have. And I think that's what makes this track, this place, very historical. I love coming here. I mean, it's a great track, great event, great food. That's cool. Yeah. Got some good places for you guys.
That's the third time in a press conference you've mentioned how good
man,
the food is here.
been,
I can tell you're really keen on the
excellent.
food.